Hey, you can have your cake, eat it too, with the Cake Queen's new podcast. Well, they say you can eat your cake and, make your cake and eat it too? Is that how it goes, Courtney? Have your cake and eat it too. I know it's something like that, but I'm glad you're here with us because you talk cake. You have a new podcast being launched with everything going on. But first, how have you been doing? How's the family?
We are doing great. My kids are on the other side of the camera finishing up their homework. We're in a good groove, and as school's winding down, I think we're all feeling a little bit more relaxed and at ease, and we can just enjoy the good weather outside in our backyard. But we're doing well, and we've been healthy.
And you have been pretty much watching your followers continue to grow because people have been at home and they're looking for that sweet treat to make the kids and the family happier being all together. And let's talk about the podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, it was interesting just thinking about, watching people, what they were doing the first couple weeks of shelter in place. And it felt like, as I watched my website, growth or, Pinterest clicks and all that stuff, the first 2 weeks was interesting. I'm like, wow, no one's baking, no one's clicking on things. But then after that initial, I don't want to say fear, but after the initial rush of, okay, I'm going to get all my groceries and make sure I'm stocked up, and then realizing, okay, stores are still open and I can probably still find flour in some places, baking just started to boom. And it's been so fun to see so many people across the country, across the whole world, really take some time and be in their kitchen and do things and experiment and try things they haven't done before. So it's been fun to do that. And then, yes, just last week, I launched my new podcast, which is called Courtney Beyond the Cake. And that's a weekly podcast, and I'm sharing stories that inspire, uplift, and just fill your soul with joy, hopefully much like cake does.
So, all right, and with this podcast, are you doing recipes? Are you talking with people about them?
The first episode is my story, and then I'm sharing stories of everyday people that I think will inspire you. The idea is it's not really cake related. It's about bringing you that same feeling that you get when you're in the kitchen, or, this is my happy place. And so as other people discover their happy place in the kitchen and they're baking, I think they understand, or anytime you really develop a hobby and a passion and you just feel like yourself and you love to be creative, like there's just this feeling that, a little high that you get and happiness that you get when you're in the zone. And that's kind of what this podcast does. It gives you that same uplifting, inspiring feeling like when you're in the kitchen and doing something that you love. My background actually is in broadcast journalism, and I did media consulting for over a decade, and I traveled the country coast to coast moderating focus groups, and I interviewed people, hundreds of people, testing hundreds of different television shows. But what I loved about it, and this kind of comes all full circle, is that in those interview rooms, as we talked about a television show or maybe a talent that we were testing, you get little bits and pieces of everyone's story. And I'd learn about these strangers that I'd never seen before and I would never see again as I walked out of that room. And I just loved that over the course of 13 years, I just really loved hearing people's stories. And I've always loved sharing stories when I was working in television. And so it's kind of coming full circle. And that's what I want to do with this podcast, is just share stories.
Yeah, and I think I like where you said the stories of the kitchen, because it's kind of neat that people build their houses just on the kitchen and then they expand from there, because the kitchen has always brought the family together.
Oh, it's the heart of the home, I think, for most people. This is the gathering place. I've got my kids at one counter doing homework while I'm baking, and we're having dinner, and we have friends over. I mean, this is really where the memories happen, or at least they did for me growing up. So it's always had a special place in my heart.
So, okay. Are you still going to continue showing us how to cook, right? The cakes and doing that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. And then I know before we came on, I said I'm going to surprise you because I like to cook a little bit. And I discovered cooking with Tupperware cakes. So I go and make the batter, I put it in the Tupperware and put it in the microwave. And I make cakes. Yeah. So I make cakes in the microwave with Tupperware.
Okay, I have not done that before. I've done mug cakes before. I've done it, I've tried a few recipes here and there where you do like a single serving and you put the ingredients in a mug, you stir it, and you cook it, but never Tupperware. That is a new one for me.
Yes, and literally I do it for the co-workers here, and I think so far I say maybe 10 out of the 9 that work here like it. I'd say that. Yeah, I threw the extra one in there.
I need you to send me the recipe. I gotta try that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, that is so awesome.
Yes.
Courtney, how can people find out about the podcast?
Okay, so the podcast is linked on my website, cakebycourtney.com, but it's all over. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, every podcast platform. You'll be able to find it. And then I share it weekly on my Instagram, which is also Cake by Courtney.
Okay, when you're on the next book tour, will you make a stop here and we make a cake together?
Absolutely.
So, all right, I love it. I'm going to see you that recipe. It's pretty cool.
Please do. Please do. I'll try it out.
All right.